client is, what their intentions are, what they want to achieve by inviting you to work with them to achieve. They also talk, being again a process and a document have been gone through so many hands. There are things that may not be clear in the document. You are advised on how to seek clarification. In the case of any amendments, there are rules guided there on how amendment can be done on the document. For example, if a question came in or something is not clear, one of the rules is that when the procuring entity answers you, they're required to inform all the people who have shown interest to make sure that everybody is aware. Somebody asks a question, this is the answer. Not only to your advantage, let everybody also understand that. So all those rules and processes are outlined there. You even advice on how to prepare your technical proposal. And technical proposal here is this: you're not being asked to design, but to show that your ability to design that project you are considering. You are guided on the scope of the project, so you want to show that you have capacity, you have the people, you have an office to operate from, you have all these kind of things to enable you to deliver as required. You are even guided on the submission and the rules about submission, how they will be received, how they will be opened. You even advised to be invited to witness the opening of those documents so that no monkey business will be entertained in the process. Even you are given, as I mentioned earlier, the evaluation criteria and the process, and there's some that are mandatory. Now, in the direct proposal, the mandatory section mainly covers what would have been in an expression of interest, because that's what will be used to either continue with you or drop you outright, because there are some other requirements like legal registration, and this one most firms, consortiums have failed. When maybe the lead consultant has all the information, there are other consultants have information, and nobody looked through to confirm all things are there. So when the evaluation comes, they are knocked out because of not your own fault, but the fault of your own people. So it's very important, before you submit those documents, you must check that all the requirements have been met, all the necessary documentation have been done, because they are already given. It's not a sample, you are already helped to know what they are. You have been guided on what to be evaluated in that. And those will come later on in the other presentation, what to be looked for and how. Then you will even be guided on how this contract, your contract with the client will be executed, right? And you're given some caution that tendering process or procurement or bidding is a very confidential process. You are even reminded that corruption is not allowed, and you are even given some restrictions that part of your team should not be engaged in other related contracts that will cover this particular project later on. There may be others to come in later on that particular project, and you are given restrictions on what you should restrict yourself to. And because these are a standard document again, at the end they give you an appendix to clarify and customize some of that information. Like when the client wants a particular, maybe a good example, you may be getting a site that is very far. You are given the description of that site is you help to understand. Maybe a case I can remember, somebody being hired to continue the project to be done by somebody else. So you are told a document is already existing from which you begin to do your assignment. All those that are clarified in the appendix is an extra information to clarify some of the general things that have been outlined in the document. The next section about the technical proposal, there are so many things, I'll just mention them. They will come out again proper in the evaluation. Each firm, now when it's a consortium, each firm is required to submit their complete documents. And I mentioned earlier, that's where most people fail. Only the lead consultant submit all their requirements, other just a common thing that has happened between, particularly on the electrical and mechanical consultants. They submit their board registration certificate individual, but not the firm, right? And sometimes those things have implications. So it's very good to refer to all these things. Standard forms, I have all these standard forms. Maybe anybody who may want to have a look at them, because there are very many. But there's a standard form that every requirement, there's a form for it, which you fill in to customize your requirement. The firm references, you have student to student where you operate from, who are the directors, and all these kind of things. Then there's an element that most people forget to do. Item 4, comments and suggestions of the consultant on the terms of reference. You are given the terms of reference, and a particular form is given for you to articulate your involvement and your understanding and your proposal on the terms of reference given, how you would want to approach them. If you are told this is going to be requiring a very quick implementation, you have to comment about it, what you're going to do about it. Even propose a program, because maybe in the document I have mentioned, they may want it to be done within this period. Indicate that you understand that and you give your own input on that. There's a form given with blanks you to just go to add on it. And this type of technology, the documents are available in soft so that one can customize them accordingly. Then there is the methodology is mentioned in the description, and you're supposed again to articulate that to show that you understand what they have mentioned about the methodology of doing your task. The team composition and the task assignment, you have to show personnel with names and qualifications and the task you are going to give each of them in the assignment required. And again here, most people just list the names without doing a lot of other things as required. Of course, the format of the CV is given. There's a form that outlines how the CV would be, and you're supposed to fill that one also. Time schedule for the professional personnel, what time they will do those tasks, is also required to be filled in a particular form. Activity work schedule, there's a form for that. Now, with the item number 10, that mainly comes with the donor projects I mentioned earlier, and they ask you to propose. And in most cases, the financial bid is given in a separate form, a separate envelope rather, and it's supposed to be opened after you have been accepted or you have been accepted at the end of the evaluation process. So, there's a clear form on that one. Now, declaration form is a very important form. It's like a commitment form. You declare you're going to abide by the rules. You are committed to the task if given, and all those requirements are given in that form. And then there's another form called business questionnaire. This again is to help you to understand, to explain your firm in detail. When it was registered, who are the directors, where you operate from, a number of things that is a long form that and it's important to complete it fully. There are times you are asked to provide the list of ongoing projects or projects you have undertaken, and maybe they may have even a term that similar nature and magnitude. And as I mentioned earlier about a prison, if you think about a prison and don't mention about a prison at all, you can see what will happen. When it comes to awarding some points, you miss a lot because maybe they give a biased big point for a person who has that knowledge of that project that they want. That's customized in the evaluation. Now, there are some projects that are far and they require that you must attend and see the site on a given date and you are given the certificate that you attended, so that you take responsibility, that you understand. You not come later and say, I didn't know this site was too far. I didn't know it was that hilly. Before you submit your proposal, you are advised to visit the site and acquaint yourself with all the issues governing that site. I go to the next element, the terms of reference. Again, this one gives you the background, the objectives of the assignment, what the client expects out of you, and what they expect you are going to bring on board. It explains also the scope of the project you are supposed to undertake, or you are being called to undertake or to participate in terms of the brief. They may explain the brief there, and all things about it, and complexity. They also outline the consultant services required and outline all the professionals you are required to have in your consortium, and sometimes even their qualification and years of experience. All this is required to be given. This again is the issue about timelines. You are asked how much time you take in the pre-contract stage of the assignment, in the contract process, and then action, and then in the post-contract. You sometimes they're broken, right? You're supposed to break them. There will be a guide in the document. You're supposed to pick from there and continue on. Next bullet is data, services, personnel are to be provided by the client. Now, the client will tell you what they are going to give you. They will talk about, they will give you the brief, they will take you to site, they will give you the site plan, they will give you all the documents, they will list them ahead of time so you know what is available, even as you engage. Then the conditions of engagement and the scale of fees are outlined straight in this document. Now, the standard form of contract. This is actually the contract you're going to sign with them. You are given to understand it, to read through it, and you will decide it at the end of the contract, or if you are awarded the job to do. Now, some very important notes to put in mind. I think I've mentioned them in passing, that all sections of this document should be completed as required. Then, clear information to be provided with support documents. There's a form that you talk about your CV. Some people just write that one without attaching any certification. When you're required to show that you are registered as a legal entity, you should attach all your certificates. Another that have been very, have caused many teams to fail. Some firms have been changing status and names. They began this time after some time, the other people came on board, they changed to a limited company, and most of them sometimes give the last certificate. So they look at the experience. You only maybe incorporated 2 years ago, and you have been in operation for 20 years. You should be able to show that growth that you have gone through as a firm in your document. So when you talk about your experience, it's very clear and can be articulated in your document. Actually, these are the documents that are used to confirm what you put in the forms. With bidding, they are so articulate. They know about all the requirements. They study this document very thoroughly and put them in perspective. And I think because it was mentioned as one of the ways of getting jobs, we have to spend time and prepare ourselves for this. It's very important, and put our documents right. Then sometimes documents are put haphazard. Some guys will bring the document piecemeal. There are people who have submitted documents that are not together. This document should be arranged in the sequence that have been described in the document. Some firms go ahead even after putting all their documents to ensure that no one will tamper with them. They paginate them all from the beginning to the end, and that's allowed, right? It's important to have your documents and all your information flowing, so that the evaluating team will not have to keep looking from your documents from all over, right? You attach your registration, your pin is not there, it is somewhere in the document. Please let's make it flow. Then, all the rules that are guiding in the procurement, ensure they are followed, because that will form the basis for evaluation. I think I wanted to end there by just giving all that outline, unless then I'm going to we can get some clarification required. The documents are normally very big, very many, very specific, and I have a sample of them. Anybody who may want to peruse through. Of course, they are blinded, they have no names of where they were used. But they keep getting customers according to the need. Thank you.
Do you learn a lot of things? I learned a lot of many new things, isn't it? If you miss your PIN, if you miss your, saying whether you had litigation, all those things matter a lot. So thank you very, very much for that. I'd like to invite QS Nicholas Mutua for the next presentation. He's going to talk about the project proposal evaluation criteria template. And he's also from the State Department of Public Works. So just keep your questions for Muriuki's presentation and also for this presentation now. So we have a long Q&A session after this.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Nicholas Mutua from State Department of Public Works, where I've been working for the last 26 years after I graduated. So I consider myself to possess a lot of experience. 13 of those years I was dealing with the purely account surveying work, measuring, preparing certificates. The other 13 years I've been dealing much more with the other issues, among them evaluation of bids. So in those 13 years I learned a lot pertaining presentation of bids by consultants, by contractors. And what I'm going to discuss with you today is basically out of experience, from what I have noted. Why people do bidding, like we've been taught, is because professionals are many in this field. And the client or the project manager is after getting the best out of the many, so that they can be sure that their project will be done properly. And unfortunately, they don't always get the best. The best ends up missing out on these on projects purely because of presentation of their bids. They are very competent with a lot of experience, a lot of work done, big establishment, but the mere presentation of their bid knocks them off. And the job ends up with the less competent people who are keen in their presentation. There are even cases where people end up with a firm for the works, and they start asking, we go ahead and we cancel this bid, because they can see the people who would have done better have actually fallen along the side. They are ending up with the people who they can question their competence as per that job. It's actually a scenario which really disappoints people when you know that the person who could have done better in that project has actually fallen, not because they don't possess what is required, but they never presented. So that is why you are normally advised to keenly follow the requirements of the bid. Just read it through, understand it, and present it as it is required, so that you can get the job. And much of what I have written here has been talked about by Muriuki, and I suggest we go straight down to the criteria. Evaluation criteria. And alongside this one, we are going to look at it alongside the main components of the criteria. What we really look at. The evaluation is normally composed of around 3, 4, or 5 items. The first one is normally the preliminary items, requirements, or rather the mandatory requirements, which you must meet all of them as stated. If you miss out on any one of those, you are thrown out. And those are simply issues. You just need presentation of the documents which are in your possession. Such documents are like your registration document, both with the legal registration and also professional registration. That is BORAX. With the need, if that is the case, present that. You present the simple things like litigation history. You present evidence that you have personnel qualified for that job. Present evidence that you have equipment. Evidence that you have an office to do the work. Evidence that you are registered with KRI and you are tax compliant. So don't say if you are not to present a PIN certificate and tax compliance certificate. Don't say because you are tax compliant, you are tax compliant. You can't be tax compliant without a PIN. Because you did not present a PIN, also present it. It's that simple. You miss it out, you'll be thrown out. You'll be told that site visit is mandatory. Even if the site is just next to your office, and there's a date which has been set aside for site visit, just go. And you get that certificate for site visit. It will be used to determine whether you are proceeding in the evaluation or you are being dropped. And many people have lost out on a mere issue, like visiting the site and getting that certificate. And even some have even gone to the extent of making an appeal at the board that they are rarely being dropped and they have been ruled out of honor. So it is that simple. And unless you meet those qualifications, the preliminaries, you will not go ahead. And these ones are normally stated in the invitation to bid. If it is in the newspaper or in a document sent to you or in the website, they are all listed there, all of them. As you are preparing your bid, put that document on your table. Make it, use it as your checklist. Be ticking against each that you have attached everything as per the requirement. In many cases, you do your work as a director or as a professional in the firm. Then you give it to your secretary or a clerk in your firm with the final compilation. That is where many people get it wrong. The clerk does not know the essence of these documents. When they drop one piece of paper, they may not bother really to get a replacement. They put the document as it is. When it is presented, you find some crucial simple documents are missing and you are thrown out. Then you say, my clerk, my secretary, just be the last person to look at it. Be the last person to go through that document with a checklist to make sure whatever was required and you have has been presented. Like I have said, it is whereas the client or the project manager is looking for the best, most competent professional to do the job, they end up getting the most competent presenter or compiler of the document, not really the best professional. Those are the people who end up getting the jobs. And the aim of this session like today is to make sure that all of us can present a document, because we are able, is to make sure that all of us present a document such that now our competencies are evaluated on what we have presented. Now, when you are past the preliminary evaluation, that is when you convince people that you have all those basic requirements, registrations, tax compliance, all those other obvious items which are listed. Now, we normally go to technical evaluation to look at how technically competent you are. And if you are professional, what do we look at? We look at the personnel in terms of numbers. in terms of experience. That is the number of years worked. Of course, post registration. We also look at also in terms of academic qualification, can also be an advantage. We also look at the experience of the firm. What kind of projects has this firm handled? And also experience of personnel at personal level. What kind of projects have these persons handled at their personal capacity? All that is the information we are looking for when we go for technical. We're also looking at the equipment this firm has at their disposal. And for consultancy, equipment are simple. Just desk equipment, computers, printing machines, those kind of things. Nothing really big. Utility vehicles. Not like a contractor where we look at planned equipment. We look at simple office equipment, which you can easily demonstrate that you have them. We're also looking at the office space. You have an office. How is your office? How big is it? What is your total personnel? Are you really an office per se? That is what we are looking at. Now, in my many years in this work, I've seen people just say we are known, we are so and so, which is true. So you miss out on giving us documentary evidence that you are that person, and you miss on that job. And actually, at evaluation, people really get upset when they see big firms who are not to have all the competence required, missing out simply because they never presented their documents in terms of experience. You see a very big architectural firm or consulting firm, but the personnel who are presented are the recently employed graduates. Those are the certificates which are being attached for evaluation. And you see when we are evaluating these certificates, you find marks as per the number of years of experience. You say 10 years and above or 15 years and above, maximum marks. 10 to 15 years, next grade. 5 to 10 years, next. Then in 0 to 5, you are getting 1 mark. So you end up missing 10 marks because you gave us, you are young people, instead of giving us yourself. You lose 10 marks, you get 1 mark. Somebody else who may not be as big as you are gets maximum points. So when you are told give personnel, start with the oldest, most experienced. Those are the ones who will earn you more marks. When you are told give us the jobs you have done, start with the biggest and the ones which are as close as possible to the one at hand. Show us you have done those. You've done them on record time. They were completed. Supervision was done well. Give all the certificates for that job. That is how to earn maximum marks. I'm saying this because I've seen people miss it simply because you know so and so is the director of this firm. But what you get in the presentation, other people who are recently graduated, you know this firm did such a big project, such a nice project, they don't present it. They give other small projects which don't earn the marks. And imagine we know you are defeated by a small firm. So we end up with a less competent firm for that job. The same thing happens also for your office. Tell us where your office is. Let us see the ambience of your office, because that will give us confidence that you are the right person for that project. So when we look at personnel, we want to see the experience by number of years, relevance to the task, previous work done, professional and academic qualifications, and the number of personnel. So marks will be awarded according to this kind of items, the way you present them. The more experience you have, the much work you have done, the more complicated projects you have done, the more marks you will get out of that. So present your best. Actually, people fail just on presentation, nothing else. About the firm, we're also talking about the experience by projects handled, size of office space, number of partners, employees, availability of equipment, that is computers, vehicles, etc. Generally, size of establishment, that is what we are looking for. So demonstrate the best. There's an item where people normally score so well, work plan and methodology, because that's more about professional experience. But you may find that this item can give you 20% of the marks. The other 80% was coming from what you failed to give. Work plan and methodology, just tell us how you are going to execute the project, how you are going to manage the project during the construction, during the bidding, how you are going to observe timelines, how you are going to observe budgets, how you are going to undertake financial appraisals. Just make sure that you give us confidence, or you give whoever is asking you to present confidence that you are going to give them the best out of what they require. If there is an innovation in matters of technology, let us know. Capacity to enhance quality, functionality of the end product. Tell us how you can make the client get the best project. That is with the least cost in use after when the project is put in use. Demonstrate that you have a good understanding of the project. And that is why, if we are talking of a hospital, and you know you did a hospital previously, let us know that you did a hospital, how you did it, how well it was done to completion. That will give you some leverage. You will find an item in the evaluation criteria, like stability for transfer of technology. That is basically training. Because we want the provision to be there in perpetuity, that even as we exit, other people are there to do the job. So we want to know that you are willing to do training. You are absorbing interns as you are undertaking the project. You are taking trainees. You are taking new employees who you are willing to train. Just demonstrate that in your presentation, and it will earn you good marks. So when you find in the evaluation criteria, transfer of technology, the person just wants to see, are you ready to transfer technology? Just indicate there. You are employing so many people, you are touching so many interns, you are touching so many trainees from our learning institutions. That is what we are looking for. Financial capacity. Generally, for consultants, financial capacity will not be a big issue because